I thought you all said this was a comedy.
You either die a hero, or you live long enough to see yourself become the villain.
We are in very serious trouble.
Look, Jeffrey Dahmer was eating the shit out of niggas' heads.
He's the one.
So today I saw Jojo Rabbit, the latest feature directed by Taika Waititi. And this film was really good. I mean, I really enjoyed this movie. It's not very long, but it really sticks with you. And it's the kind of movie that does a really good job of going through different emotions. It's somber, yet hopeful at the same time, and it's intense, but not depressingly so. You know what I mean? Like it just does a really good job of gliding through all of these different pathways, right? Like it somehow doesn't feel like it's overly comedic, yet it's still funny. I mean, it kind of deals with the Holocaust through the perspective of a kid, and just the ways that a kid can be brainwashed, or kind of how the innocence of a kid can be disrupted by the world around him, right? And I mean, I'm still stunned by this movie in a lot of ways. It was just really effective to me, for the most part. And, there were just so many things that I didn't expect to happen, and it was very subtle in a lot of ways. And when something major happens, when a character dies, or when there's tense moments, this movie does a really great job with tension as well. Something that I just wasn't expecting. Like it'll go from a comedic moment in 1 second, and then it'll get really tense. And the tension isn't disrupted or negatively affected by the comedy that came before it. There's moments where you're supposed to take it seriously, but you never really you're never confused. You're never like, should I be playing this for laughs? Right? Like, should I be laughing at this person's pain or trauma? And you never think that. At least I didn't. Right? And I really have to commend it for that, because balancing tone like that is very difficult, especially within one scene. There's so many moments where the movie within one scene goes from dark to comedic, back to dark, back to comedic, back to dark, and it's really impressive. It's really great. I think the cinematography is well done. I think even though not all of the humor works for me, even when it doesn't feel like it doesn't pull me away from it. It doesn't feel like a failed joke. It's just something where I was like it works as a dramatic level too. It works as character moments. So even if you don't find it funny, it's not cringy or anything. It doesn't like pull you away from it, and so I really appreciated that. This movie seems like it's a comedy, but when you really look at it and when you start to get into some of these moments, it's not really a comedy. I mean, in a lot of ways, I feel like this movie kind of uses comedy very cleverly in ways that I'm not really sure I don't think I've really kind of decided on yet, like in how I would like talk about the way it uses comedy, but it does it really well. And so like with this movie, I mean, I know I haven't really talked much about the plot, and that's because the movie, while it has a plot, while it has, events that happen, it's not really about like the story, right? It's about the characters, and it's about the overall theme and the overall messages. And me personally, I think that it did a really good job of conveying these messages without, in my opinion, again, being disrespectful. It doesn't feel like it's taking jabs at anything. It doesn't, at least not anything, like not taking jabs at the victims of the Holocaust. It's taking jabs at Hitler, but that's Hitler. And I just think that the movie is just really well done. I think, like I said, I think the cinematography was really effective for some of the comedy, and just for kind of establishing the tone at different points, and in the tension especially. And I think thematically, I'd have to think about it a lot more thematically, but at present, I think that it was thematically really well done as also. So I think this is a really effective movie. Although I think that there are some moments that, while not really being undercut by the comedy, I just feel like it wasn't like the most powerful movie I've seen. Right? Like it's effective, and there's a lot of things that it does well, and there's not really anything I think it does particularly poorly, but it just never really reached like the really high heights. You know what I mean? Like it never was like something where I was like, this is gonna stick with me forever. Like this is the kind of thing that I'm never gonna forget. You know, it was intense, but it wasn't quite at the level of a 9 or 10 for me. So, I really like this movie, but I'm gonna give it an 8 out of 10. I really liked it. It's the kind of movie that I think you'll remember for a long time, but it's not the kind of thing that I think was so stand out that it's you've nothing you've ever seen before. I think the comedy works well, the dramatic beats work well, and I think that it does a really good job, like I said, of balancing between genres. I can't think of a lot of movies that balance between genres as well as this. But it just wasn't super exceptional in a lot of the areas that it had. So again, I'm gonna give it an 8 out of 10. Very, very good, but not a masterpiece. So that's my thoughts on Jojo Rabbit. Thanks for watching.